around Chelsea, and this is an exclusive from Fabrizio Romano, who says here that Chelsea improved their bid for Pep Shavaria as negotiations with Rayo Vallecano are moving forward. The new proposal for the Spanish left-back wanted by Xabi Alonso. And this is an interesting one for me because, again, I haven't changed my stance on the player from what I spoke about a few weeks ago. I don't know enough about him to have a fully formed, knowledgeable opinion. So I'm not going to sit here and gaslight people. I'm not going to sit here and bullshit people. I'll obviously present the news as it's being put out there by the mainstream media, but I'll always give you my honest opinion. And that is the point of these shows. Anyone who thinks fan channels are sources of news, you're morons. And even some fan channels now, because they're so big, have sources, but most of them don't like to talk like they know what's going on because they don't want the lack of credibility that comes with it. Let me rephrase that. They don't want the lack of perceived credibility. The perceived lack of credibility when a deal doesn't go through. We still have this weird habit in England of when a journalist says, I spoke to someone at a club and they say they're not signing someone, and then 3 weeks later they sign that player. You don't know what you were talking about. And clubs change their mind. I find it really weird. We do a lot of shooting the messenger. You know, it's been an old adage for probably centuries, maybe even thousands of years in civilized society, that you don't shoot the messenger. But in the football transfer world, we've gone back to cave. It's like 10 BC. 10,000 BC is back again when it comes to that. But look, Chelsea are pushing hard for this player. They rate him. They want him. I watched a bit of Chelsea's game yesterday, and there were bits that I felt impressed with, and there were others that I was like, ooh, a lot of work is still needed by Xabi Alonso. So him bringing in the players that he needs to make his style of football work makes a hell of a lot of sense to me. I think they've made some excellent signings so far. I think Rodgers, great. Danny Welbeck from the bench, great. I don't like the Henderson signing from a player perspective, but I understand the coaching element and the dressing room element they want him for. I think Lacroix, amazing signing. I don't know much about Palestra, so again, just like Chavarria, I'm not going to sit here and wax lyrical about a player that I just don't know enough about. But I'm also not going to write them off. And that, for me, is the exciting part of these types of transfers. It's being sort of open-minded to what they could be, what they could bring in, what they could generate and produce. And I think that's really, really significant. But maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just me that finds that to be significant in these areas. But look, Chelsea fans tuning in, how do you feel about this deal? And what are you guys hearing on the grapevine? Because looking at Chelsea's transfer news, it's sort of this week, obviously being on holiday, I just saw that the Henderson and the Welbeck deal came out of nowhere. Do you think there'll be much more now with a new striker? You could depends whether you put Rodgers in the midfield or forward categories, but a midfielder in Henderson, an attacking midfielder in Rodgers, a centre back, and what looks like to be two fullbacks. Considering it's one game a week, there could be cup run, but no European football. Do you need more this season? Of course, Enzo Fernandez may leave. Surely Jordan Henderson isn't the Enzo Fernandez replacement. I don't know. I'd love to get Chelsea fans' take on this as this story develops. But do me a favour, like, share, subscribe, leave your comments below. Now, interestingly, being here in Turkey, one story that's been very interesting, talking to some of the staff here, just about football in general, is Trabzonspor are close to hijacking. I always butcher the names. I can't speak properly, but that's just me. The deal that Petisias will go into.
Things to go over. It's just not enough for a double upload. But tomorrow, you best believe, we'll be here for a double upload. Mondays tend to be the busiest, so we'll be here tomorrow. Make sure you guys are subscribed, notification bell on. But let's get into it. Let's get cracking. We have news. We do have news, and it's to do with a left back that we've been looking to get for a while now. Well, shall we check it out? His latest on Pep. No, not Guardiola, the other one. Pep Shavaria is on the verge of signing with Chelsea. Only minor details remain between the clubs. The footballer is ready to travel to London. We also have Pep Shavaria will join Chelsea for £21.3 million, plus bonuses. The deal will be officially announced in the coming hours, says Mate Moretto. Goes on to say this is the most expensive sale in the history of Rayo and will become official in the next few hours. So Fabrizio with a little emoji here saying soon, right? And it's looking like it's finally done. Now, again, I'm not going to say that, oh my God, guess what? I found out something on this. No, it's just, I found out like you guys did on Pep Shavaria, to be honest. So yeah, it's in the bag. Yeah, we're getting Pep Shavaria. He will be signing for Chelsea. It's done. I'm surprised at the money. I'm surprised it's only 21 million. So what we initially wanted out of this is what we got. We didn't have to pay the £42 million release clause. We didn't even have to go near 30. I said yesterday, was it yesterday or the day before? I said, I reckon it will go somewhere near 30. Not even that. Not even 25. 21. And that got it done. Well, what was the hold-up? You know, what was the hold-up? Because it's no secret, well, at least now it isn't, that we were looking at Lewis Hall in the midst of all of this being too difficult to do. And then all of a sudden, we give them 21 million and they're just like, yeah, all right, we'll do it. There is one factor, though. I will say there is one factor. The one factor is that Pep Shavaria was pushing for the move. He was wanting the move from the beginning. And most recently, he's actually made it clear to his club that, yo, I'm not even going to take part in...
Coach Xabi Alonso has opened up about his time as Real Madrid manager 7 months after leaving the role by mutual consent, saying that he was scarred by the experience, but that is now healed. Alonso spent just over 6 months in Madrid after joining from Bayer Leverkusen. He said, luckily, there are not too many scars in my career. So, OK, I got a scar, but this heals. Now it is healed, and now I'm very motivated and determined to enjoy this next step, as I did when I started in Madrid. You move on, Alonso added. I have been very critical about myself, thinking about what I could have done better, because for sure it did not go as expected. But you move on to other things.
Let's talk about what João Pedro likely gains from a new contract. First, stability. That sounds simple, but it's huge. When a player knows his future is clearer, he can focus more fully on performance. You don't spend as much mental energy worrying about the next move, and you can settle into routines, training habits, match-day expectations, and long-term development. Second, trust. Clubs don't extend players they don't believe in. Even if the player has had ups and downs, a new contract can confirm that the coaching staff still sees value in his direction of growth. Third, responsibility. Often, the longer or more significant the contract is, the more the team expects from him. That can mean more involvement in attacks, more leadership in game moments, and more consistency. Contract announcements don't only change one person's status. They can shift the entire squad dynamic. If João Pedro is tied down, it changes how the club plans its forward options, how recruitment decisions are made, how teammates approach the attacking phase, and how the team balances risk versus reward in certain matches. For example, if the club believes João Pedro will remain central to their attacking identity, they may build around his strengths, passing lanes, combinations, and the types of runs the team expects him to make.